Hey, it's Scott once again. Sorry I didn't come to you last week with a video. We were in the middle of the big move and the big packing and that I've talked to you about, and we did it. We're down here. We're in Georgia. I am at my father-in-law's house. That's Lake Oconee right behind me. I'm standing on a deck. The house is right behind me here. The lower level, that'll be my home and my wife's home for who knows how long. The upper level is where my father-in-law lives. Of course, we'll live there too with him, but we have the downstairs and he has the upstairs, and then we'll be going in between the whole time. But it's an exciting time, but it's also a time where it gets you thinking about a lot of different things, and being adaptable is one of them that has come to my mind. We didn't have this move planned. This move came upon us in the last few months. And so I've talked about it before, but the line in the movie Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, the line, you improvise, you adapt, you overcome. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're in the middle of adapting to a new life and a new situation. The other word that comes to mind today is perspective. And I know it's something I've written about before, but I haven't spoken about on video. And this idea of perspective, my perspective is far different than that of the people down here. I am standing right now it's not a very hot day for down here. The humidity is high, as it usually is, probably in the 70% range. I'm not certain of that. I haven't checked, but it sure feels muggy. And even though it's probably 75 degrees, which is not hot for Georgia in July, to me, this is just muggy and hot, and it's not comfortable, because my perspective has been that of somebody living in Montana for the last 9 years, and then in the Yakima Valley in Washington for 9 years or 8 years before that, and then in Montana before that as well. So my perspective has altered who I am. I grew up in the suburb of Chicago. I dealt with humidity my whole life until moving to Montana. Granted, I didn't like it then either, but I at least understood it. Well, now I come down here, and to me, this is just hot, muggy, and people down here are like, yeah, it's kind of nice. I remember I lived in Arizona for 1 year. It was 55 degrees out one night. I was watching a tennis tournament, and there were people in parkas. Their perspective is totally different than mine. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong, it's just different. And so perspective plays a huge role in what we do and what we deal with. I look at that body of water behind me right there. That's a beautiful lake. It's going to be so fun to be able to go out and enjoy that now that we'll be living on it. And yet I just drove through Iowa and Missouri on my way down here. And the amount of water I saw on each side of I-29 on the way down, in places where there wasn't supposed to be water, farmers' fields and all over it just was mind-blowing to me. And the floods that they started dealing with, I think that was back in April or May. And it's July 23rd today, I believe, 24th, the day you'll be seeing this. And it's like, holy cow, what are these people having to still deal with? Their perspective on water and most of our perspectives are probably a whole lot different. The last thing they want to see is more water. Ironically enough, it was raining when we were driving through there. And so perspective plays a big role. Just because the way I'm seeing something makes me feel a certain way, doesn't mean that everybody's seeing it or feeling that way about it too. And so we got to keep that in mind. When we deal with our kids, we got to look at things from their perspective. Doesn't mean we have to do everything just, the way they want it done. We're trying to run a program and trying to keep everybody in mind. But we do need to understand, what's the perspective that my players are coming to this from? What's the perspective of their parents? How are they coming to this? And so understand that concept, that the perspective that each of us has plays a real big role in how we end up not only viewing things, but then dealing with things. And so keep that in mind when you're working with your kids this summer, and as you're starting up your seasons here, not too distant future, probably in the next couple of weeks for some of you, I know. Keep that in mind, that everybody's coming at it from a different perspective. And the more we can be understanding of others' perspectives, the better off we can make those relationships with those people. We'll talk to you again next time.